There it is.
It's Monday, February 15th,
Yes.
2021. My name's Tom Wise.
And I'm Melinda McKinsey, and we're going to unpack some shit today because there's some shit to unpack.
Indeed.
So
go ahead.
It's the day after Valentine's Day. The day after. How are you feeling, Tom? It's the day after.
I stayed in bed crying all day. Is that what you want to hear?
No, I think it's funny to talk about the perception of Valentine's Day, the expectations of Valentine's Day, men versus women. I will say, as a female, I've never been a fan of Valentine's Day because it always felt very forced and a lot of pressure. And as a girl, like growing up as a young woman, you feel pressure of like, oh, other people are getting stuff. Like it's an uncool, unhealthy thing, I think. Valentine's
It's very odd. You're right. Even at school, when I was a kid, you weren't forced to give everybody a Valentine.
Oh, yeah. See, that's another weird thing in school too. Because what if the popular kids get the Valentines and you don't? We've all heard those horror stories.
Yeah, or all the whores get Valentines.
All the whores get the Valentines, and that's unfair. So, when you're in a relationship, what are your Valentine's expectations? Like, is it the man's job or?
I don't expect anything. I think women all think that they're to be doted on that day, which is fine. But I don't think it's ever. I don't think I mean, I've had women that gave me flowers and stuff, but I think it's a female centric event. It's an opportunity for a man to get into trouble.
It is. It really is. It's such a setup day.
Let's call, So we talked about this off air. This also lines up with diamond rings.
Yes.
And what else did I say? There was a third thing.
Diamond rings, Valentine's Day. What else is a setup?
It's a setup.
It's a setup. It's all a scam, everybody.
I mean, hopefully if you're in a healthy relationship, it adds to your love and adds to your day.
Yes.
And then if you're not in a healthy relationship, it adds to some sadness. You're thinking about this thing that you don't have that you may want. So is it really a good day? I mean, can we just keep it to ourselves perhaps?
And it's funny, I didn't notice, I wasn't on social media as much this weekend, but in the past, what I thought was fascinating about this holiday is inevitably someone will post, well, I know it's Valentine's Day, but please keep in mind all those people that have lost their partners and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, dear Lord, we can't cover all the bases. If you've lost a partner.
Can everybody have a good day every now and again? And if you having a bad day, then just keep
right?
Yeah.
Like you have to consider the people that have lost partners or don't have a partner. No, you don't.
It's funny because I was thinking about Ricky Gervais. I was listening to him being interviewed the other day because the conversation occasionally comes up about content for a joke.
Okay.
And if you make a joke about a blind guy or something controversial like suicide, it's like, and somebody in the audience is affected by that topic. Yeah. That's on them a little bit. He goes, I can't customize up. Now, if I'm doing crowd work and somebody says, my brother committed suicide as offering information about him as a person, and then you do a suicide joke, that's on the comic. You can't do a suicide joke after the guy says, he's been identified. But if you just do a joke about whatever, it's not about, you can't edit yourself for all that stuff. And let's not be insensitive, but also make sure the joke is funny.
Yeah.
All right. You're just not saying gratuitously talking about suicide.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting because if you look at, I don't know what Ricky Gervais said, but if you look at jokes that were funny in the 70s, probably very different than what's,
I need your opinion on one because I think this is why I was talking about it.
Yes.
Here's the new material I'm working on. So Ronald Reagan had Alzheimer's, right?
Yes, yes.
And he enjoyed puttering around the yard. And one of the things that he would do was to clean the leaves out of the pool, and that helped him feel accomplished, like he's doing something.
Okay.
So the story comes out that the Secret Service would put leaves in the pool, to give him something to do.
Is this true?
Oh yeah, this is a true story. And I
Oh,
fast forward to him and having a conversation with St. Peter. He goes,
uh-huh.
oh, the fucking leaves. I thought I was losing my fucking mind. Or something like that.
That's funny.
It never stopped. The leaves never stopped.
Never stopped.
I thought
Well,
I thought I was losing my mind.
it's good that the Secret Service was being utilized in a very good
Then I
way.
do 12 more minutes on Alzheimer's.
Okay.
I was working the Alzheimer's clinic. All I had to do was know one joke.
Oh, bump. There it is. There it
See,
is.
now, if somebody in the audience says, hey, my mom, Alzheimer's, you can't do that joke. But if I'm just doing it,
But if you're just doing
you
it,
need to laugh. You laugh, right? Laugh at. My mom died from Alzheimer's, for God's sakes.
yeah. Well, and I think if you go to a comedy show, you kind of know if you're that kind of sensitive, you maybe shouldn't go see a stand-up show, quite honestly, because it's not for you.
I tell this joke about suicide. And one of my friends committed suicide. Two friends committed suicide.
Yeah, I think it's obviously right. Yeah.
I think you got to laugh at the dark stuff.
You absolutely do.
I think.
No, you absolutely do. On a totally different side note, I want to show you my earrings.
And I appreciate those friends of mine generating that material for me.
Tom. Look, do you see my earrings? Can you tell what it is?
Aren't they nice? Is that like a pink?
It's a glazed donut.
I was going to say it looks like a donut. I didn't want to be foolish and say it looks like a donut.
No, it really is. My niece's daughter just randomly sent them to me out of the blue and said, I thought you'd like these. And then she made me a little ring. She hammered down a ring with my initials and with feathers because, I like feathers.
Wow.
Just a nice, lovely surprise. So I do want to share that, it's so nice to just random acts of kindness, man. Like, she's a teenager. She's a senior in high school. She doesn't really have time to be sending stuff to her old crazy aunt in New York, but she did it and it was lovely. And it really touched me that she took the time. Yeah.
That's nice.
Super, super nice.
I've just realized that my girl's birthday is on the 18th. I've got to get something going today.
Yeah, you do, man. What do you normally do for them?
Well, usually they're in town. I think this might be the first time that they're not in town.
Are you going to Amazon something to them?
I hate to just send stuff.
But listen, what do they like? I'm assuming they like to eat out. Send them an Amazon gift, or not an Amazon. Send them like a gift card so they can order out or whatever.
That might be nice. A nice vegan place in Chicago.
Yeah, find their favorite restaurant and give them a gift certificate from, or call the restaurant and,
That's a good
whenever
idea.
I'm at a loss for a gift, I'll figure out what kind of food they like and give them either like a Venmo or something and say, hey, because who doesn't like that? Everybody likes to go out and eat.
Amen to that. You got to eat, and it's funny, since I've downsized, I'm trying really hard not to bring anything else into the house.
Oh.
I don't want anything.
Oh, wow. Seriously?
I'll get something that for work, like I'm ordering a camera, which comes tomorrow, brand new camera. Okay. So it won't be fuzzy and busy like this anymore.
Okay.
So that I can justify, but outside of that, I went to my storage yesterday to go look for something.
Yes.
I was like, I recognized all that stuff, but I don't miss it.
Yes.
Like, wow. This is very very interesting.
It's a very American. I don't know how the other countries are, but it's very American to accumulate. It's what we do.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm close, but I pulled the trigger on the last few things that are ling around.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of work to get settled in a new place.
That's crazy.
I do want to ask you about topics. I want to start a new category called That's a Dick Move. What do you think?
I love it.
Okay.
I'm a yes man.
Tell me what you'd like to talk about, and then I'll share a couple of categories or topics that I had.
No, I had a couple of things I wanted to do. We'll put our improv thing down to later. Oh, by the way, on Facebook today,
yes,
woman said my Scottish Terrier died unexpectedly today. This was 10 o'clock in the morning. Scottish Terrier died unexpectedly this morning. Does anyone know where I can get a rescue Scottish Terrier? Because I'm ready for another dog. I go, the body's not even cold.
Well, we all handle grief differently, but wow. Wow. Well, I hope she can work that out. That to me, that's a lot. That's a lot.
I mean, it was
But
10 o'clock in the
But
morning.
what do I know? I mean, I don't know how people we all grieve in such different ways. Like I know when my father died unexpectedly, very unexpectedly, he was
Did you put
60.
an ad in the Facebook?
I want another dad immediately. This one's not functioning any longer. No, how my mom dealt with her grief was she needed to be busy. And at the time, I have 3 sisters. At the time, it upset us until we had to take a step back because my mom wanted to clean out dad's stuff, donate stuff, clear stuff out because she found it very upsetting to see his things lying around.
Right.
For us, that was disturbing because it's like, Mom, don't get rid of dad. But she needed to do that. So
otherwise, she felt she was wallowing.
Yeah, she didn't want to do that. So maybe this lady with the Scottish Terrier is you got to keep moving forward because you don't, I personally think that's a lie. I know when I lost Reagan, the last thing I want to do is look at other dogs. I mean, whew,
I mean, at the end of the day, you might think about it and 3 or 4 months later said, I think I'm ready for a dog now.
Yeah. I literally got a cat in 2 weeks. I knew I couldn't handle another dog, but I wanted something to love and I didn't want the responsibility of a dog. It only took
me. And you can't count on the kids.
You can't count on those kids. You need a pet. You need an animal that you can manipulate and mold and control.
And project your thoughts again. That cat's looking at me like, oh, that cat loves me.
That cat loves me. That's exactly true. Okay, so I wanted to, for this segment called That's a Dick Move, I think there's so many things that would fit under that. And the category topic lets you know this is going to be controversial, right? That's a dick move. You've heard of the name Stacey Plaskett, right? She's the rep that spoke during the impeachment trial, the beautiful woman from the Virgin Islands.
Yes.
So I did some research on her because I like research and I like to know things, and I just want to know about her and her history. Yeah. Check out what someone did to her. This again shows how dangerous politics are, how dicky people can be. Stacey Plaskett was an attorney. Uh-huh. She had people working for her, and one day her phone was not operating. So her associate, Juan McCollum, who was very well regarded, he was named like one of the most beautiful at his college, like he just was very charismatic, worked for her. She entrusted him to take her phone to the Apple store to get it fixed. At the Apple store, they needed her password. She didn't have time for this. So she gave him the password, apparently trusting him. Do you want to guess what this dick Juan McCollum did to her?
I think I know the answer.
Well,
because I saw some guy who was hating on the Democrats post something.
He took her private photos without her permission of her and her husband, and there was some nakedness involved. It was just her and her husband, nothing inappropriate. And he also took some of the photos that she had in her phone privately of her daughter, not naked, just of her small child. He waits until she runs for office. Juan McCollum and his friend Doreen Brown, who he ended up spending time in prison for this, because what he did was when she started running for office, he shared those photos to try to shame her and say, he put them on the internet, so you can't take that away. Once it's on the internet, what? Of her and her husband, and tried to shame her and told her, he didn't say it was from him, of course, to stop her for running for office.
It's disgusting. I saw a picture. I go,
that's
this
what
is horrible.
Saying. Yeah. Once it's on the internet, it's on the internet. So he did go to prison, and Doreen, I guess, spent some time. But if you look them up today, his name is attached to that. So at least this happened in 2000. I guess he actually went in and he served time in 2018. He worked for her from 2015 to 2016. He got busted in 2018. But this woman, if you pull this woman up, there's nothing listed around her name that she participated in this, which really is, think about it. If someone did that to you and took pictures of you and your wife and posted it trying to blackmail you, it's you and your wife, man.
It's horrific.
So that's a dick move.
Amen to that. It's horrible.
Right?
Plus the picture I saw, the husband was edited out. So it's just not her standing naked.
But again,
I mean, it was also edited for Facebook, so everything was blacked out. I go, how does this happen? And now I didn't know how it happened. Now you told me. I go, that's it's horrible.
And I hate to say this, but this is another good lesson for your youth in your life to go, look, naked pictures are never a good idea. It's always going to come back to haunt you, man. I don't think there's any safe way to do the naked photo thing. You can take things off of people's phones. Things are not erased like you think they're erased. And even in a situation like this is her private phone. Why she thought giving him the password was safe. She clearly trusted him, right? Trusted him.
That is a dick move for some guy.
A dick move. Ugh. And even though he spent time in prison, he's out now. He's living his life, but those pictures are forever on the internet.
They should make him take a picture of his little balls and his next to his face and stick that. That's what the judge should say. Here's what you're going to do. Take a picture of your balls, your little dick, and then put it next to your face. And then we're going to put your name on that and phone number and then put that on the internet.
Right? See, if you and I ran the world, that's what would happen, because you need that kind of justice. Him spending time in prison, yes, that works against him. But in 20 years, those pictures are still accessible.
And she's got to talk about it, explain it. It's like, whatever.
Just like now, even though this happened a few years ago, now she's in a position of power and she did a very good job. But don't you think those Trump people are going to use that now and start swirling it around?
Of course. Their little brains are the size of a peanut anyway.
Right. So
my latest argument with the Trumpers, they're like, so you're excited that the president that incited a riot that had a policeman bludgeoned to death, this is justice for you.
Yeah. I don't, try to talk to any of them. I'd love to have a debate on our show, because they just flounder around, because it's not what works for me works for you. It's what works for me and you're different.
Yeah. Some guy went off on a Hunter Biden computer thing. I go, what are we talking about?
Yeah. No, it's weird and it makes no sense and it makes me feel crazy. Yeah. So do you have any topics about, wow, that was a dick move?
Well, you didn't give me any time.
I know, but I figure you have an interesting, colorful life.
How about someone looking for a dog 6 minutes after the last dog died?
I feel like that is a dick move, to be real honest. And to put it on Facebook like that, clearly you think it's okay to make that kind of freaky request.
Yeah. It's crazy, I tell you.
What kind of responses did she get? Did you see?
I can't say that I saw anything.
Okay. Just kind of curiously, people are very verbal now about how they feel about things. Before on Facebook, people used to be nice, but now people are actually saying how they feel. So I'm just kind of curious if someone's like, whoa, Missy, why don't you hold off just for a minute?
Yeah, I think there might also hopefully be that same indication that, let's give this person that's grieving a break. Hopefully.
Well, that was very kind.
Yes. I'm seeing my boy's Grout Groovy. My boy Harold invented a product called Grout Groovy.
What is that? It's a thing that grouts for you?
Yeah, cleans your grout.
Oh, cleans the grout. Nice.
Yeah, I see. It's the second time I've seen it on Facebook.
Really
Facebook
nice.
ad, yeah.
So you know how I like questions, right? And I like those little card games.
Yes, ma'am.
So I found on Instagram, there's a bunch of card games called the Shame of Life. And then they have all these things like spooky cards. This one card game is called Messy Conversations. Don't you even love the idea of it? I love the idea of it. If I were to go on a date with someone and they said, let's have a messy conversation, I'd be like, do it now. I want to hear what you have to say. So can you think of a question that you would consider a messy conversation? Any kind of question that you would ask anybody that someone would go, well, holy shit, man.
A messy conversation.
Messy conversation. There's so many good. I wrote a few down that I thought I have to stop because I could talk about this all day.
Well, get me started and see if I can
Okay,
go down
let
that
me
road.
get you started. If getting an erection made a sound, what kind of a sound would you like it to make?
Did you ever see? Did you see there was a movie about that?
No.
It was like Larry Sanders. What was the name of the guy? Gary Shandling was in the movie,
Oh,
and he was from another planet, and the men didn't have penises, but they gave him one. They inserted I think
I
it had
don't know this.
I think it had a whirring sound, like it was spooling up.
Well, if penis is becoming erect had a sound though, what would you like it to be? Like if
Oh,
you could
make
choose.
that sprong sound like a diving board. Sprong.
Would that be crazy in public though? Because
Be nice if it had like a clicking sound. Click, 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 click.
or what if it was like the sound of an alarm? Oh no, then we could all be warned and be aware.
That's funny.
Okay, so can you think of a question? Let's just say you're on a date and your date says, you know what? I love messy conversations. Throw something at me.
I don't know. Give me another one. My coffee
Okay.
hasn't kicked in.
What's the least sexy food to use during foreplay?
The least sexy food?
To use during foreplay. Like if
Hmm.
you're trying to make your moves and you get something out and your lady's like,
Yeah.
wah,
Okay.
wah.
You mean, are we naked in bed or are we foreplaying in a restaurant?
You decide, man. It's your story.
Well, I would not have fish or hamburgers involved.
That's a good one. Fish would be very not sexy, right?
Yeah.
Fish would be not sexy because like chocolate or Cool Whip or whatever.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
very
Peanut
sexy.
butter. I was a peanut butter would be fine.
But
Cool.
like if you're
Fine.
laying on the bed and your man whips out a piece of salmon,
Yeah.
you're gonna be
No.
like,
What?
I'm sorry. I feel like you can make a lot of things sexy because I was trying to think of things. I'm like,
I don't think I've ever engaged with brought food, maybe a little whipped cream.
really? You've never done chocolate or anything?
I don't think so. Usually
It's
it's like,
very messy,
yeah,
but
it's messy.
also hilarious.
Yeah.
Totally worth it because it's funny. Because it is messy because you're gonna make a mess.
Right.
Totally fun. Recommend
Noted.
the chocolate.
Noted.
Okay, here's
Next
a good one.
Valentine's Day, hopefully.
Here, what should you never whisper to your partner as they fall asleep?
I'm gonna kill you.
That is bad. That's bad.
That anal sex you don't want. You're gonna dream about it tonight.
That's really good. Um, okay, it says, now this one I found complicated, but you tell me, what would a boring superpower be? If you had the most boring superpower, what would it be?
Boring superpower.
Yeah.
The ability to change channels on the TV with your mind. Yeah, I can replace you with this.
That would actually come in handy though. Well, I like that one.
You'd
I
be.
like that one.
It would be nettlesome.
Like a boring superpower would be like, I can guess your dog's weight.
I
Okay.
can. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Can you think of anything else that you think would be a messy conversation? Like if you're out with someone, you're like, let's talk about this.
Nothing's coming to mind, but I'm enjoying answering your questions.
Right? I'm gonna order these games. I know it's ridiculous, but
I tell you though, this is a good idea to bring like these cards on a date.
I think so too. When we talked about maybe meeting people via Zoom or FaceTime before you go on a date, I think having a prop or something like that to kind of
Absolutely. No, I'm the more I'm thinking about this, the more I like it because I've been on first number one dates and it's like we're getting along, but there's no spark or energy.
Right.
So, I mean, like, you want to go play pinball or go
Right.
walk? If there's no activity, it's hard to, there's nothing to bounce off. It's like playing handball against drapes. How are you doing?
Yes.
Boom. What's your sign? Boom. You got any kids? Boom. What do you do for work? Boom. Where are you from? Boom. It's not,
Yeah.
there's no engagement here. There's no getting crazy. You got to, because you got to see if someone's not, and if someone's not crazy, we move along. So you're looking for a little madness. And if you got some crazy games you're doing, then, that's going to help things along.
I agree. I feel like when you're on a date, you're so much in your own head. It's hard to enjoy the date because you're trying to make
I'd
sure
love to bring
everything
out a
goes.
deck of cards. And then ask a few crazy questions. So let's say, hey, it's not me. It's these cards asking about,
I didn't,
how many times you fart a day.
that's right. I
That's
didn't
not
know about
me.
the
It's rude
porno.
if I was asking that. It's
Please.
cards.
This is so embarrassing. I have you gone on those kind of dates? Like I went on a date once, a first date, and we went bowling. And I'm not a bowler, and it was a lot of fun.
I feel badly. I dated a woman about 6 months ago. We went out and it's like, we're having a nice time, but there was no, it was very, all right, let's go do something. And then we ended up, that lunch was so unenergetic that nobody had felt that we should go to the next time, I'll go look for something else.
Well, that's too bad.
I'm just
What about
saying, but if you had a card game, you had some sort of thing, you had a
this? I
gimmick.
think so too.
I mean,
Or like, have you been to any of those painting classes or those like ceramic classes? That
they're
would be
great.
fun.
I've done that. Oh my God, I dated one woman a couple of years ago. I make everything a couple of years ago, if you haven't noticed by now.
Yeah,
Even if
yeah,
it was
it's
last
very
week.
safe. Very safe.
19 years ago, I know I was married for 7 years at that point, but here's we go. I had a crazy
Yes.
date. And I was like doing the ceramics thing, doing the painting things. Like these dates are costing me $300 every time. Wow.
Yeah.
Plus dinner. We're all going for
Yeah,
pre-drinks,
that is a
dinner.
lot.
It's crazy class. After dinners, I go,
I
okay.
feel like
Can we
you
get to
should
the
go
sex part
Dutch.
now? Huh?
I very strongly feel like you should go Dutch on the first date. I
Mhm.
just feel like that way it's balanced. It's 2021. Why do women think men have to pay? That makes no sense to me. None. You can't claim to be a strong, independent woman and then go, well, he's the guy, he's paying. I don't get that.
It's
No.
so traditional. I mean,
That's too old timey. If you're a modern person and you want to be treated like a modern woman, hey, if you want to be like a 1950s woman, then sit back and let the guy pay. But then also, you have to change all the other things too. You can't just pick and choose what works in your favor, like pay for my meal.
it's an interesting thing. I was in the hot tub on Saturday night with a small group. Pat had his band mates over,
Yes.
and then the conversation went to this guy talking about getting a massage with a happy ending.
How do you get to that point where you know it's that place where I mean,
Usually, it's an Asian spa.
really?
Come on, keep with the program.
I-
Try to learn something along the way.
Okay. So, what did he say about it? So curious.
So it was a $60 for an hour massage.
That's very inexpensive.
These are Pasco County prices.
Wow, that's very inexpensive. Holy
So then,
cow.
there's some sort of, grazing of the balls and a wink and a nod
Okay.
and a mini conversation about, are you interested in a full massage? And so he agrees, but there's also like, a nice tip is expected. And there's also agreement.
What's a nice tip on a $60?
Well, there's the question. The question became, what does this group in the hot tub think that the number should be
What was the consensus?
for the tip? I would like I'll give you all the answers, but
Okay.
what's your thoughts?
This is just me, but I feel like I am a generous tipper because tipping is so important, and I would tip $60. I would double it the rate. 60.
That was the high end, and that was the answer became between 40 and 60 became
Okay.
the answer. I think he tried to do 40 and she said, so he threw 10 on top of that.
So when they do a happy ending, where does it go?
He answered that question. There was a question asked by one of the ladies in the hot
I would
tub.
love to know where it goes. How do they clean it?
She blocks it with the free hand from going onto the drapes.
He's still laying down though, right?
Right. So
she blocks it.
she doesn't know where it's going to go.
Right. It could
See,
splatter.
Paula, you thought this was going to be another boring unpacking some shit.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
So
You
she
know,
finishes them with one hand, blocks the other. It all falls. Gravity takes over at that point. Then she goes for a tissue, or if it's a classy place, a hot towel.
towel. Interesting. That's so interesting. I wonder how often that
Hey,
happens
look at
with,
this. And this is the first time in your 60 years on the planet you ever had a conversation about this.
I have heard people speak of the happy endings and it's always been a joke, but I guess I've never delved into the real facts of what occurs
Well,
during that time.
and that was part of the hot tub conversation. It was like, you know, I made the observation. I'm saying, for the little bit I would watch a pornographic movie, it's like, oh, that woman really knows what she's doing when she's, satisfying the man. I'm saying I've had situations where it's like it's not as professional as that person on the screen. But
I'm
it's like then
sure.
the conversation is, well, when do you have the conversation with the person about what you like, what you don't like?
Yeah.
I said, many people don't know that men find that little spot between their anus and their balls pleasurable to be massaged, the taint.
Yeah. It
And the
has
women
to
are
be
like, really? You
open.
like that? I go, of course. I said, and also, here's some more information.
Yeah.
A man's scrotum is made of the same material of a dog's head. You cannot scratch it enough.
Interesting. That I have not heard.
These are all, I should have saved these for the tips of the day.
Oh man. Oh man.
I mean, did you ever have a
No,
dog? The dog is just scratching and scratching and
yeah.
scratching. It's like, aren't you done? No,
Okay.
scratching.
No. All right.
Same material.
So, how many women do you think get a happy ending? How
It's a small percentage, although I've had conversations with women who said they were offered a happy ending.
Yeah, see, that would be because here's the thing when you, as a female, when you get a massage from a man, it's always the concern that they're going to be inappropriate,
Yeah,
honest.
I don't think many or any women get a happy. I don't want to say any. I think it's rare. I think it's more like it's interesting. I would think that a woman would be more amenable to a happy ending from a 35-year-old Asian woman than it is a 35-year-old Italian man. What about you? What do you think that would line up?
Um,
Okay, you've got to get a happy ending from one of them. Which one is it?
Man.
Really?
Yeah. I've had massages by men and by women. I always ask for the man because I just feel like men's hands are so strong and I like a deep muscle massage, but I am always worried that they're going to do something inappropriate. Like I've had I'm trying to think where I was, if it was at the Safety Harbor Spa, where they're like, "Oh, would you like a buttocks massage?" And I was like, "No, thank you." And then immediately I could feel my cheeks clenching because I was like, "Man, can I just relax? This is not what I was looking for."
Oh, that's the best part of a massage. Somebody putting their elbow on there or getting in there with a cup of their hands.
But it probably is, Tom. But as a female,
But that's why you've got the Asian woman doing it. There's no limited sexual energy there.
you know what's even more, intimate than that is as a female getting waxed, getting your parts waxed because they're all in there, like full on in there. You have to lay on your back. You have to grab your knees, hold them up to your chest because they
Oh,
do all of you. And I've had it done in New York and in Florida. And you just, you hope for the best. It's always women, and you're always like they talk to you the whole time, and you just have a normal conversation as you're laying there and they're pulling air. And it's like, it's more intimate than going to a
I would
gynecologist.
imagine that's some serious business down there.
It's very serious business. And thankfully, never ever has anybody said, "Hey, while I'm in here."
Oh, but that's way too raw down there for any activity, I'm sure, right?
No, it is. You feel it's the most vulnerable, more
Oh,
vulnerable than even having a baby because you're like, okay, well, we're done. I'll never see you again. Bye.
well, it's funny. The conversation came up as to someone said, "Do you know where the vibrator came from? The vibrator was invented." Was the conversation in the hot tub, right? So this
Okay,
kind of
where did it come from?
kicked it up. Well, somebody said back in the 50s and 60s, women would become, I forget what the word was, um, some sort of frustration. Okay, they had a term for it about, oh, she's frustrated, right? Whatever
Okay.
the word was. Well, then the doctor would manipulate her.
No.
Oh, yeah, this is a thing. I've heard this from different areas. The doctor would manipulate her in order to generate a release, an orgasm. And then that was what he would do because she was, and the word's not frustrated, but it was something. Okay.
Wow.
Well, anyway, the guy was tired of doing this.
Wow. Is that
See,
real? I gotta
Paula, you thought
research
this was
that.
going to be a boring old
I have to
unpacking.
research that. I did not know that.
Get our best man on that.
I know that when women were supposed to be frustrated, they would say they're crazy and they'd lock them up, and put them in the
Rich women got the buzzing,
oh, the rich woman got that, and the
or
other
unsexy
poor
women got the back saddle in the back.
got it. And all because men don't know how to satisfy us. It's your fault again. No, that's fascinating. I will research the vibrator. I didn't know.
That's what the guy said who got the happy ending where the vibrator came
Okay,
from.
well, I'd be curious. I'd be curious to learn about that.
Seemed he was pretty in tune as to what was what.
Well, he seems very aware of a lot of sexual things, so it's possible he knows the history of it. I love that. And speaking of history, I know I've recommended this before, but I do recommend, I think it's on Netflix. It's called Adam Ruins Everything.
Oh, I've seen that. That's a good show.
It's a good show, right?
Yeah.
He talks about everything and he explains the history of like herpes or cars or why people get arrested. There's a whole interesting back, and he tells you stuff and you're like, I didn't learn that in school. Did you learn that in
No.
school?
You know why? You know why roads are? You know why railroad? Where they came up with the distance between one railroad and the other
No.
railroad?
Why? How?
It's the same distance on a Roman cart from wheel to wheel.
Oh, see? Okay. That's interesting. I love that. I feel like we learned a lot today, and now I feel like we can't even give any tips because you don't like to give too many tips. You have a line, you've given them, you're done.
My bucket is empty.
All right. Well,
we're running out of time. We got time for one more if you like.
I have one more, but it's okay.
Daddy's got to work.
Okay. Oh, this is a bummer one. I don't want to end with a bummer. I'll save the bummer for the next show.
Okay.
Oh man. All right. Well, I did want to talk about Thanksgiving, Valentine's fails. I wanted to talk about Valentine's fails because that amuses me to a great extent. Do you have any personal Valentine's fails, or did you read any this year about any kind of?
I haven't done my homework.
That's
okay.
okay.
I don't know that I had any Valentine's fails. Unless my son was there, he's the one that remembers everything.
Okay. I read a story where there was a young Asian guy, and maybe this is a cultural thing because it happened in Japan, wanted to propose to his lady girl. Turns out they hadn't been dating that long, but you find that at the end of the story. So what he does is he purchases her a new iPhone. Apparently that's like a thing. And he has this big surprise for her where they're going to a public place here in Japan where he has an orchestra playing. He has iPhone boxes in the big shape of a heart. He brings her to the heart, gets on the knee, proposes, and everybody's watching because of the orchestra.
Hang on. What could possibly go wrong?
What could go wrong, guys? What could go wrong? We find out later they haven't been dating that long.
What?
I mean, if you're going to propose, I think I've never proposed to anybody. I would hope that you have at least a 95% certainty that they're on board.
We've maybe had the conversation about getting married at some point. I'm like, wouldn't it be nice? I think I could, you and I could get along together.
Right. Well, apparently they hadn't had the conversation.
What?
And so she starts trying to do this, but everybody's cheering and he's on, the orchestra's playing and they're looking nervous and they're still playing. And she starts to cry and she runs away because he wasn't. And then he just is like this. The orchestra stops. It was very heartbreaking that this young man went into this whole, like, he took enough time to hire people to get the iPhone to set things up. Why didn't he take as much time maybe having a conversation with this lady about,
Lady.
hey lady? So that's a Valentine's fail.
Wow. Well,
Let's end on that.
thankfully we didn't end on a down note.
The other one was so much worse. No, it's a lesson, guys.
Read the
Clear,
room.
huh?
Read the room.
Read the room is the best it's the best tip in life. Always, every day, all day long. Read that room.
Hey, let's do an improv thing next week
Yeah, let's do. I love that.
or the
I'm
Wednesday.
down
I'm
with it.
working on Helen. I've invited her. She said yes, but she didn't give me a date.
Okay, that sounds great. So I'm Melinda McKinsey.
I'm Tom Wise. Go ahead.
You've been unpacking some shit with us. Thank you so much.
And it's another one in the can. See you kids on Wednesday. Have a good Monday. Did I stop?
Nope.
Do I have to say
Yeah,
that's in the can again?
gotta say it's in the can.